Hey everybody, welcome on into the ClayShare studio. I'm Jessica Putnam-Phillips, and we have an exciting broadcast lined up for you tonight. We're going to be giving away some DiamondCore Tools sanding pads and sanding paper. You get to choose, to 2 lucky winners. And we got a demo for you using DiamondCore Tools grinding discs, sanding pads, and I got a box right here of sanding paper, never opened, brand spanking new. And it's going to be a really good tutorial for those of you who want to know how to grind glaze that has possibly run off your pot, or for those that want to know ways to prep up their bisqueware. I do already stream on so many, so we're running the conversation on Instagram because Facebook's not working tonight. Everybody on ClayShare, that's working, so at least we got that. I already do so many platforms, I don't need to add another. That is very true. So we're just talking about how I'm streaming live tonight on Instagram, well, it was going to be Facebook, but Facebook was like, nah, not tonight. My YouTube channel on clayshare.com and the ClayShare apps, which is Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and Roku, and then Vimeo.com. So it doesn't look like Facebook's working tonight. That's okay. We have lots of other places, so we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to do the demos, and then at the end, about quarter of, we will do the giveaway. And you don't have to stay for the giveaway. If you win, we email you. That's easy. And as I already mentioned, if you missed it, to enter our giveaways, and this is true for all of our giveaways, go to clayshare.com, sign up for our email list, and you're in. You only have to sign up once, and then it's good forever, for every giveaway we ever do. And if you're a premium member of ClayShare, you don't have to do anything. You're automatically entered. All right, so I was going to start with these 2 diamond sanding discs, grinding discs, and I only have 2, although they do make 3. And the reason I only have 2 is I did a giveaway, and I gave all my stuff away because that's how I roll. I give everything away, even my own tools. So when DiamondCore asked me, they're like, oh, do you have everything you need? And I'm like, sure, yeah, I got everything. And then I started looking, and I realized, no, I don't. I gave all that stuff away. Not because I don't like it, I love it, but I wanted to share with you all, and I wanted to share the wealth and pass it along to you. So I felt I didn't need 3 grinding discs, although 3 is very nice, so I gave 1 away. That was really nice, huh? So this is the 240, and this one is the 60. So I gave away the 120, which is the one that I would use the most if I had one, but I don't. So if you were going to get one of these, I would definitely get the 120, the one I don't have. So you have this finer grit and you have this larger grit. The 60 is the larger grit, and that is the one that you want to be more aggressive with. You know, when you first start out grinding down glaze, this is the one to use right here. And then you move to the 120, and then you move to the 240. So you go down in size, but up in number. So we're going to start with the 60, and we're going to grind with this. It could be a little loud. And then we'll move to the, because I don't have the 120, we'll be moving to the 240. So, you know, I would give the shirt off my back away if y'all wanted it, but it has to be washed first, right? So DiamondCore Tools on the back has these great bat pins. You can switch to camera too. Has these great bat pins so that they fit different wheel heads. So I'm going to see which one fits mine. This is the fun part. Nope, it's this one. You know, when you're doing a live broadcast, anybody out there do live broadcasts and you're showing how to throw pots and you have to get your bat to line up during the broadcast and it never wants to. And you always have that awkward moment of, I can't get my bat on the wheel. Yeah, that's what happens. All right, we're going to this mug here. Now, you can use these to grind, you know, the glaze off if you make a mistake and you have glaze to grind off, but you can also use it for just smoothing your bottoms because there's nothing like a smooth pottery bottom. You know, you don't want rough bottoms. You don't want bottoms that are going to scratch people's tables. You want nice, smooth bottoms. The bats are hard to get on the wheel. It can be, right? All right, so when you do any grinding like this, you want to have some water nearby. You don't want to grind dry. I don't have a cool saying for that. I don't have anything. Don't grind dry, grind wet. Doesn't really flow, does it? So I get the disc wet and I get my pot wet. And then you want to hang on really well, get your wheel up to speed, and then, one more thing. If you're going to be grinding, protect your eyes. So I've got a pair of lovely glasses here that I'm going to wear that will protect my peepers, because I need these. I want to wear gloves. It's up to you. I don't usually. Can help you grip it better. So that's something to think about, right? Oh, Amanda's opening her box. She's got some DiamondCore Tools. Oh, you got some discs. Oh my gosh. She got some grinding discs, a 60 and a 120. And you can see it's kind of loud, but it is grinding. And it will grind it clean and as smooth as you want. Now, I don't expect ever to grind all this back. I mean, I could if I really wanted to work for a long, long time and grind that back, but I'm not going to. You know, this, as long as it's not sharp and it doesn't have any sharp edges, I'm good with that. So, you know, you grind one and then you switch to the next disc down, right? So you move from your 60, you would go to your 120. I don't have the 120, so I'm going to the 240. If I had the 120, that is the one I would go to next. And that definitely is my go-to. I can't believe I gave away my go-to, that I gave it away. It just goes to show. I mean, if people, you know, we're doing a giveaway, and if I don't have the thing, like if I don't have extras, I give mine away. That's how I roll. So then you're going to grind it again. Hear the difference? It's more like a polishing. And it really finishes that edge so nice. So nice. Hey from Denmark, so I'm trying to keep up with the comments here. So you love your grinding discs, you have all of them and love them. I'm gonna have to get the 120 now that I did that. It's like, I can't believe I did that. So that's the way that, you know, you grind stuff down. Now, DiamondCore Tools has Dremel bits that you can put into your Dremel and grind, and that's really what I would use for this particular piece here. I would grind it with that to get that little knob of glaze off. Although, I'm kind of loving drippy glazes lately, so I let them stay if possible. Now, what I really love these for is this. You've just unloaded a glaze kiln, and you got a bunch of pots. And although we take care during the entire process of smoothing and sanding before we glaze, sometimes little bits of stuff or discoloration is on the bottom. And so this has a little bit of dark discoloration on the bottom. So I'm just going to take it, and I would use the 240 is a great option, the 120, you know, if you just want that one disc. And then we just grind it. And so you get this incredibly smooth surface. Like, it's smooth. You can, I mean, you can rub it up your arm. It's not going to cut you. It doesn't have any raised areas that if someone sets this on their $2,000 credenza, maybe it's $5,000 credenza, depending on how much credenzas cost these days, and they slide it on that, you don't want to be the person who made the pot that gouged their beautiful credenza. You don't want to be that person, and I don't want you to be that person. So, you know, there's one, and here's another mug I've got, my Jess's Town. That's what's on this right here. It's on the side too, in this beautiful Mako. This is their frosted lemon with yummy, melty Mako light flux on the rim. Isn't that yummy? So this is a hand-built mug, right? And the bottom's pretty good, but I like to just give it a quick check, just to make sure. So I get a really nice smooth surface. I don't have to worry about anything scratching. And that's really what I want to do. So when you unload your kiln of glaze work, just sit down at your wheel and get it wet, keep it wet, and just grind through all your pots, get your bottoms nice and smooth. You want those smooth bottoms, and go on. Here's another one. Here's one that I did in porcelain, and porcelain is notorious for showing underglaze or any little bit of anything. And so right here I got a little discoloration. Now it would annoy me, and a customer might pick this up and be like, well, what about that? It's a little nitpicky, but you know, can take care of it. Now it's gone, completely gone. See? Now, and it's smooth as can be. You love the names of Mako's glazes. Yes, right? So we're on 2021 and there's no way to glaze the bottom. Of course you can glaze your bottoms if you want to. If you do it on a stilt, if you fire it on kiln stilt, but I don't worry about that. It depends on the piece. Sometimes I glaze the bottoms. Just depends, right? So that's what I use the grinding discs for smoothing my bottoms after I glaze fire, and for grinding down glaze oopsies. Now, let's just put a regular bat on here so that I have a surface to work on. What I really love from DiamondCore Tools is their sanding products, the sanding pads, the they have flexible ones, they have their diamond sanding pads, these are the flexi pads, and then this diamond sandpaper. And so tonight what we're going to give away to 2 winners is their choice of 2 either diamond sandpapers or diamond sanding pads. So that'll be your choice of 2 of these, the papers or the pads. And so I have same thing, I used to have a bunch of these, but I give them all away over the years. But I do have all of the sandpapers because I haven't given those away yet. You guys are going to get them tonight. So 200, that's a 200 grit. That is a 120. That is a 800. Ooh, 800. And a 400. So fine with the 800. Wow. So what I have here with that 200, nice. All right, so we got some very fine grit. Let's look at some pieces that you would want to use these things for. And again, actually, let me get my bucket. You still want to sand wet. You always sand wet. You know, we talk about studio safety. We talk about silica getting in the air. And you know, when you're working on greenware, you only ever wipe things down with a sponge. Don't sand your greenware. You don't have to. You wipe it with a sponge. But once we bisque fire, that's a whole different thing. We have to bisque. We have that bisque, and so, ooh, I want that one. So we have to, you know, have something a little more aggressive. So the sandpaper does that for us, or the sanding pads. Now I'll tell you, if you don't win, you can buy these. You can buy all of DiamondCore Tools, everything but the sink. I like to jokingly say everything but the kitchen sink, and save 10% off with the code, capital letters, DCT Jessica 21, and you can save 10% off everything. Now the best bargain they have, these sanding pads here, these are the flexi pads, they're only $18 a piece. If you have never bought DiamondCore Tools sanding products and you just want to dip your toe in the little pond of sanding possibilities, then this would be the way to go with the flexi pads here. Now the sanding pads, they have like these sharp squared edges, and they have rounded ones too. And they're $35 each, as is the sanding paper. So the winners tonight are getting some serious prize like value because they're each winning 2. And the difference being these are on a little foam back right here, and these are just paper. But what I love about the paper, and they're not going to tear apart like the paper you get at the hardware store, but what I like about these is they are so flexible, and they do have like a sheet of some kind of like plastic material on the back, and you can put them on the rims, you can put them on the feet, and really get into those nooks and crannies. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is we're going to get into some nooks and crannies and talk about sanding and everything. So last week we did carving, and when you do carving, you know, you are creating some possibly sharp edges from that carving. So here's a piece I did, carve this with the DiamondCore Tools. I believe I used the P12 to do this one, this bowl. You can see it's just got this really great carved pattern, very simple, nothing crazy fancy. So what site can use that code on? You have to go to diamondcoretools.com directly. So it's directly through DiamondCore Tools. And so when you go to sand, again, being aware of our health, you want to make sure you get whatever you're going to sand damp and your sanding products damp, or preferably wet. So I'm looking at this bowl and I noticed that when I threw it, I didn't do a great job smoothing that rim, or maybe I did, and somewhere along the line it got a little messy. So we're going to use the different products. Again, I have the 60 and 120 of these little flexi pads. I love that 120. Dip that, so I show you. I'm dipping this in water. I'm dipping my sanding pad in water. And you'll see that it's very wet. And the reason you want it very wet is there's no clay dust going up in the air. We're not creating any dust at all. How long do I think DiamondCore Tools sanding pads and bats will last for the average hobby potter? And I have had these two are my original two sanding pads, and these are the $18 ones, so they're not even the best quality they make. I mean, they're all good quality, but these are the most affordable ones. And I've had these for 2016, 5 years I've had these, and I'm still sanding with them. And my grinding discs, yeah, I've had about that long too. So, I mean, honestly, you can get, I don't want to say forever, because then DiamondCore Tools will be like, nobody's reordering, but they last a long time. Everything DiamondCore Tools makes lasts a long time. So I just sanded that down. Now, talking about that carving on the side, you'll feel it, and you might feel some raised edges, and ideally if you carve it at the right dampness, you will not have many raised edges, but even so, even when you get it at the right level of dampness, sometimes you end up with some sharp edges. So I've got a 1500 and I've got a 120. Let's stick with the good old 120. The 120 is always my win. And then I'm just going to sand, and I already wiped this down, but I am dipping this in water. You can actually see the water on the surface as I'm doing this. Now, this sanding will not work if you've done sgraffito. What it will do is it'll actually take off some of your underglaze or slip. So I only do this when I'm doing straight carved pieces like this bowl. So do I worry about breathing grit? So Carol, that's exactly what we're talking about. We are wetting the pad. We have wet the pot. I have a sponge. I'm not creating any grit. I'm not creating any dust at all. I'm keeping everything very damp, very wet, and we're not creating any dust. So I'm not going to breathe anything in I shouldn't breathe. If you are going to choose to do this, which I don't recommend, but if you choose to do this dry, you must wear a mask, a ventilator that's rated for silica dust, and I would have an air cleaner if you're doing it inside. That will actually clean down to silica dust level, or do it outside. All right, so along the outside I can see I got a few little burrs, just some spots that need smoothing. And then this is for the folks that don't wheel throw, right? Because we did the grinding disc and we were talking about grinding the glaze off. Well, if you don't have a wheel and you want to grind your glaze off, I would get the Dremel tool attachments. We're not demoing those tonight, but I would get those and use those. If you don't have a Dremel tool, somebody in your life should have one because they're so handy. Maybe not Dremel, rotary tool I should say, because we just call it Dremel, right? But if you need to smooth your bottoms, just a general finished piece, let me just grab, well, let's go back to this. If you don't have a wheel and you want to get an ultra smooth bottom, right here. One of the sanding pads. Get it wet, your pot's wet. And away you go. And then you wipe it down. Go to town. Go to Jess's town. Right? That's the name of this pattern. I mentioned it earlier, but if you're just joining, that's why it makes sense and is funny. So anyhow, it's all nice and smooth. You can see how smooth this bottom is. I'd rub it on my face, but it's kind of hot and sticky in here, and I would actually get the pot dirty, and I don't want to do that because it's like 110 in the studio. It's crazy. All right, so for this bottom here, you know, you just take your wet sanding pad and you just smooth it off, and you do the same thing if it was a glazed piece. Here comes the smooth bottoms. You're annoyed now when you purchase pottery, sometimes at a high price, and it has jagged bottoms. Exactly. Sharp glaze bumps, etc. You've turned into a sanding snob. Once you start sanding your bottoms and you really start to pay attention to all other pottery bottoms. Some people out there, I don't know what they do to their pots. I mean, I think they take it outside and rub it in dirt and gravel before they fire it. And then they get all this grit and stuff and these uneven and just really sharp, not nice bottoms. And, you know, if you're going to make a piece that looks great on the top and on the side, why doesn't it look great on the bottom? It should look good from all views. So take the time and smooth your bottoms. It's easy enough to do. I mean, you guys, $18, you can get one of these, 10% off, and you get it for less, right? Of course, we're giving some stuff away. So let's use some of the sandpaper. I'm interested in this because it can fold around my finger. I could take a tool and really get it into a crevice and grind stuff down. I have a piece right here that I'm really excited to try it on. So here's a handle I made on a mug. So this one, when I made it, my hands were a little damp and it left some of the slip on it from my fingers. So I have a good question. If you sand the edges, like the top edge of the bowl, would it affect the ability to the glaze to hold? You've heard that very smooth areas on pots do not hold glaze as well as clay that might not be sanded. So Rosemary, that's a really good question. So I am not burnishing down. I am not sealing the clay in any way. I am not sealing up the pores. This clay is still completely porous. All we are doing is sanding down that rough top bit. So I have never had a problem with glaze not sticking to one area because I sanded it, ever. I mean, if anybody else out there has had that happen, I'd be really interested to hear from them because I've never heard of that happening. But you let me know because, you know, life is long and strange things happen, right? All right, so here's a piece that I hand built and I used a stamp to make all the patterns. So it's good. It's pretty good. It's not too bad. It's not too many rough spots on this. But the handle, my hands were really wet when I made it and really wet when I attached it. So I've got a little bit, I don't know if I can get it into the camera. I'll show you guys in a second. I don't know if you can see. There's a little roughness on the edge and a little roughness here on the top. And that's what I'm talking about. And you'll feel it after it's glaze fired when you put your hand on it. And even though it's glazed and you rub your finger on it, you'll feel that sharpness. And so that will be unpleasant, right? And you don't want any unpleasantness associated with your pottery. Hey, Lori, you love the pattern. Actually, this pattern is 5 different bisque stamps I made, and we pressed these into clay and made a mug during a broadcast. Could it be a pattern? I mean, yeah, actually it's 6 different stamps. We sure had fun making it though. And I just stamped my slab because not everybody has rolling pins or wants to use rolling pins. I mean, I get it. I love rolling pins. I mean, I make rolling pins, so yeah, I like them. All right, we got our handle wet. This is what I'm super excited for. I can do this. I can curl and get right in. Look at that. Make sure you're keeping it wet. I can get right in. How about this little nook right here? How about this? After you sand bits and pieces, you wipe it with a damp sponge. Yeah, Jan Pottery, I do the same thing. You know, after you sand, you just wipe away to make sure there's no dust. You know, what will happen is, we're talking about it being wet so that we're not causing dust. Well, it's wet and there's no dust while it's wet, but as soon as it dries, that's going to turn to dust, right? So you have to wipe it away. And yeah, you get your bisqueware pretty wet. Just let it dry overnight and glaze the next day. Don't try to rush. Everybody tries to rush so much. They try to glaze all their pots. They try to sand all their pots. They try to do all that in one day. And I know time is limited, but if you want things to turn out right, sometimes you gotta take the extra day. So just plan for it. You know, there are things I don't like doing and they take time. I just plan to do those things. You just add them to your schedule and you do it. Like, I don't like cleaning my studio. I don't like stopping early work, making pots to actually clean. But, you know, I don't have anybody else to clean it, so I have to do that, right? And so just make sure you keep it wet. Some people will actually do this. Let me grab my bucket. Some people will actually do this in the bucket, like this. I don't usually do it in the bucket. And then you can just dip in. And so it's constantly wet as you're sanding. Sand the bottom. For this, why not sand the side? I don't know. There's a little spider in here. Sorry, folks, if you can't see. There's a little spider inside, tiniest thing. I don't really want to kill him, but he's hanging out. He's doing great. As long as he stays in the mug, I'll chase him out in a little while. So now, you know, I try to, when I'm making mugs, I really try to make sure that when I'm making them, while it's still green, I feel the handle. I feel it on the inside, I feel it on the outside, I feel the sides, the edges, everything. And I try to go with a sponge while it's green and wipe it down, because that's the easiest and fastest way to take care of it. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you miss a piece, sometimes you're in a big hurry, and you don't get it done. You sanded too much and glazed didn't stick well, almost like when overfiring bisqueware. Sand lightly. So Nancy, you must have sanded like crazy, my dear. So I would suggest, you know, don't plan to have to sand like crazy. I would make your pottery and plan for minimal sanding. That is why when we are making our cups, like this cup here, my rim is perfectly smooth. I don't need to sand it. So when I made this, I would have taken my sponge, or when it was green, I would have wiped the rim. That's all I had to do. But if you forget, you can still make it nice and smooth, like I did on the bowl. You can still sand it. I wouldn't get in the habit of sanding your rims. It's just, if you forget on a pot or two, this will save that pot so you don't lose it. That's really the important part, right? That's really what I'm trying to get across here. So you just made your first mug with a handle using the same DiamondCore handle tool, and you're pretty happy with it, but you do think it's going to take some practice. They do take a little bit of practice. Do I have one over there? I have got some I made, and I did a great platter with some of the DiamondCore Tools extruders, and I am going to be, next week we're doing trimming tools. No, next week we're doing the extruders. That's right. So next week we'll do extruders. It's going to be fun. So after you sand a piece, you wipe it. Okay, let's see if I can catch up with the Instagram folks. So I can keep track of everything. So this one looks pretty good. It's got a little spot on the bottom. So let's see. That's the 200 grit sandpaper. I'm loving the sandpaper. What do we got here? 400 grit. So I think 200 is the small. Oh, I got a 120. Good old 120. Got yourself some 120. What? Patience in pottery? I will tell everybody out there that wants to know the secret to success. Timing, which means patience. right, in pottery. You have to, it always comes down to timing. You know, is the clay too wet, clay too dry? You know, did you trim it at the right point? Was your clay too wet to trim? I mean, there's so much going on. Did you fire it too soon because it wasn't dry enough? So, you know, we're just going to go in and sand with the 120. I had a little bit of black underglaze that is here. Now I could wait and take it off my bottom after I glaze fire this, but if you do it now, well, if you do it now, you don't have to do it later. Plus, this is not vitrified. It's easier to sand. It'll come off easier. So now that's nice and smooth. Now, one cool thing, let's see if I got one that'll work on, that I like about this.
Hey Jess, what is the code for DiamondCore Tools again?
Yeah, the code is DCT Jessica 21. That's the code. So this right here, because we can wrap it, you can wrap it like a taco around things. So, you know, you can get the inside and the outside at the same time. So these pieces would come out of a bisque. I would line them all up on my work table. I would start sanding them down and prepping them for glaze. Prepping for glaze is a whole step. You cannot just glaze. You can't take things out of the bisque and glaze. I mean, well, you can, but what kind of results do you want? You want good results? You take it out of your bisque, you prep it for glaze, then you glaze. So you should plan that day of prepping for glaze, it might be all you do in the studio that day. And it all depends on what level you want your pottery to be at. Like, do you want to have, you know, really well-made, attention to detail pottery? I do. So I plan on that preparing for glaze day in my studio. I know it's not as fun as glazing. I know it adds another day in our lives before the pieces are done. So Deb says, my lessons have taught her patience. She used to try to rush things too much and ruined a lot of pieces. Now I just try to breathe. Exactly, and wait until things are ready. It's better to have fewer well-made pieces than more not so well-made pieces, right? I feel that it's better. I really do. So the sandpaper is it's pretty spectacular. Ooh, let's do this. Here's a hand-built piece. This is perfect for this. All right, so here's a hand-built bowl. That's not bad. That's kind of a nice bowl, right? Made with a couple GR pottery forms stacked upon themselves. And we have this foot. Now, sometimes when we're doing hand-built feet, you'll feel the edges on the inside and the outside, and you'll feel a little roughness. So this is where that sanding paper. The texture on the blue mug was my forget-me-not pattern. That's one of my rolling pin designs. And all of my classic designs will be coming back. They are going to get slightly redesigned because, you know, I want to freshen them up a bit. And also the sizes are a bit different since we're going to offer multiple size rolling pins. I have to redo the patterns to fit the sizes. All right, so I'm going to wrap this around just like that. And then wipe it off. Dip it in the water. So what is better? I don't know. I think they all are pretty equal. It's truly going to depend what you are going to use it for and your needs. Do you do a lot of hand-built feet? Do you have a problem with the edges not being very smooth? You know, something like this will wrap around and take care of it. Of course, you can just do it this way with one of the little flexi pads, right? Get the inside, get the outside done. So it's really up to you. I think they're all great. I've never had anything from DiamondCore Tools that I was like, that's not good. I mean, everything they make is spectacular. So I know I gush about them, but I mean, how do you not? I mean, one person out there tell me they aren't happy with their DiamondCore Tool stuff. Yeah, there's none of that. Everybody loves it. I love it. So if ordering 1 grit for bisqueware, what would I get? I would go with the 120. 120. Always. Always, always, always. So you made a large, beautiful bowl last night. You were so proud, trimming this morning, and it flew off the wheel and ruined it. Oh, Libby. You know, yeah. And that does happen, right? That happens from, I've done it. I made, oh my gosh, like 2000, I remember this. It was 2004, no, 2005. 2005, because I was living in North Carolina. And my studio our house was built on stilts. Anybody live on an island at the beach? You know, our houses are built on stilts. They're raised up. So my house was built on stilts, and underneath is where I had my kiln and my glaze materials. And upstairs, I'd taken over our guest bathroom as my throwing studio. I've shared that bathroom studio before. It was a crazy setup, but it worked for me. And I had thrown the largest bowl I had ever made to date. So proud of it. It was as big as I could handle. And I'm coming through the door, and I open the door to go outside to go down, and boom, right into the door jamb, right into the little wall corner. Bonk. And I stepped back, and I just knew I broke it. It hadn't broken apart, but I just knew that little bumping was enough. And it was. It broke. It was cracked. I misfired it anyways, but it cracked like crazy. I didn't keep it. So, you know, you feel the inside of your pieces. I'm not saying just go crazy and sand all your insides. You shouldn't have to, but you should check them. And if you feel rough spots with your hands now, once you glaze them, those rough spots are going to be sharp spots. So you just want to make sure you take care of it now while it's easy, instead of waiting until it's a problem. So here's a cup. I think, did I get the bottom? This was a fun one I did some stamping with.
Hey, Jess, that bowl that you were just working with, is that one a class? I don't remember that.
We did that in prime time.
We did it in prime time.
We did it in prime time. A couple weeks ago, we were stacking GR pottery forms. It's when I made the Montezuma mold.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah.
The night we made Montezuma, or my Aztec temple, that's what we called it, the Aztec temple mold, which I haven't used yet, but I've got bisque. The night we made that, we made this bowl too. So we did both of those that night. So Kevin can share the link. And that was a primetime broadcast. That's just for premium members. That's what that was. So, wait, I got a platter. A platter. So sometimes with these platters, the edges are a little sharp, and I like to check those. This was good. I didn't have to do anything. I checked it over. Sometimes you don't have to sand a thing. Sometimes things are perfect, but you want to check. And whenever I do glazing tutorials, I always have a tiny blurb at the beginning about prepping. It feels pretty good. I try to be cautious and really wipe things down, but you never know. The back needs a little loving right here. You had a thumb test pop off, a thumb rest. Oh, could you put glaze on and refire it? I mean, so Kev will bring me that comment back up. You had your thumb rest pop off. You could glaze it back on. Wet dry sandpaper. So, I mean, this is DiamondCore Tools sandpaper, so it's much more durable. It's going to last a long, long time compared to what you get at the hardware store, unless you're buying diamond sandpaper from the store. But DiamondCore Tools makes it specifically for use in pottery, and that's why I love it. That's why I love it. It was a Good Morning Clay Share? We didn't make it in Good Morning Clay Share. I don't really make pots. In Good Morning Clay Share, we eat chocolate, answer technical questions. Yeah, but it was so it was the same week. I did the prime time, we stacked them. You gotta do a little more research there. Dig deeper. Dig deeper. There is a class for that bowl, Christine. We'll find it for you. A glazing, I know. So I'm trying not to glaze because my kilns are still at the other studio. And I want to wait till my kilns are up here because I want to have a kiln opening with it. So, and the electrician isn't coming till August 31st. Mind you, we booked back in March. So I've been waiting since March to get my electrician to come. I'm still waiting. Look, we saw this house in October and made the offer on it. And it went under contract like the next day or something, a couple days later. And I immediately contacted the surveyor. So mid-October 2020. I'm still waiting for the surveyor. We bought the house without the survey being complete. He's supposed to come in September. That's how booked people are. It's crazy. It's crazy. And so the dark you're seeing is just from other underglaze that was on a pot. So that's not from this. That's just me. Is there a way to watch prime times you missed? Yeah, premium members can access the prime times, of course. And you just go to the ClayShare app or clayshare.com and scroll down and you'll see primetime broadcasts. You click on that and there you go. Kevin's going to give you the link. So this is ready to go. Gosh, I am going to be glazing. I think I probably will have to do one more glaze. Darn it, before the electrician gets here. I can't wait till August 31st. That's forever. That's like too long. I can't wait. Got one more little doodad I wanted to share with you, and then we'll do the giveaway. You guys have been so patient. Yeah, it's almost time. The name of the pattern on the bowl. Oh, that is a piece of lace. This is just Battenberg lace. Where are we? There we are. This is just lace. Just stuck some lace in it, but I have to tell you, I might make a lace. We just wait. I might have options for you. I have been inundated with design ideas for rolling pins. I mean, I've been making the rolling pins now since 2018, 2019. I've been doing them, and I, along the way, have got a list of a couple hundred design requests. But ever since everybody found out that we're bringing them in-house, our laser cutter will be here any day. It's so exciting. We went out to the distributor. We did 2 trips. One trip to meet them and check out the machines and do a couple test cuts. And then we went back and did a whole day of test cuts. A whole day playing with somebody else's laser machine. Not on my power bill. And so ours will be here probably Monday, and then they come and do diagnostics. So it'll be next week before we're cutting here in-house. But it was so fun to use their machines. All right, so when you make things that hang, you make the little holes, or berry bowls, or colanders, or anything that has a hole in it, you might sometimes have a rough spot at that opening. Now, check both sides. This side is hidden. I made this little wall envelope. This is a class, this sweet little wall envelope. I rolled it in so it hides the fact that it hangs on a nail, so you don't see it. It's nice. It's so nice that you don't see the hardware. I love it. But sometimes they're a little rough, and if you don't catch it before you bisque fire, and you notice it before you glaze, just a little touch with any sanding thing, any of the DiamondCore Tools sanding product. Take care of that for you. Hey Sherry, I'm glad you made it. Yeah. So folks are excited. They're getting their handle extruder set. Next week, we are going to be making handles for mugs, handles for trays. We're going to be doing all kinds of good stuff with the extruder handles. All righty. Wow. How is it 5:46 already? How did that happen? How's time go by so fast? It's crazy. All right. We're going to give stuff away. And 2 lucky winners are going to win 2 prizes, and you get to pick. You can either have 2 of the sandpaper or 2, your choice, of the sanding pads. Paper or pads? I don't know what to tell you. That's a tough choice. You're going to have to pick, not me. But I got the names. Thank you, sir. Are y'all ready? So we're getting everything set up. Just wait. Kevin's getting ready. So Sherry asked, did Riley learn how to use it too? Yes, Sherry. Riley picked it up in a heartbeat. Like, I'm taking notes in my notebook and everything, and I'm learning it and doing it. And Riley's like, oh yeah, load it, push the button, design's loaded, cut, and she's working the machine. Like she'd been doing it her whole life. Me, I'm like making notes, checking boxes, like, oh, did I do that? Check. Push the button. Did I do that? Check. Yes, line that up. Did I level? Check. It's level. All the little steps. And I'm checking it. But Riley, it's in her head. And this is why Riley's going to be the main one running the machine. It's going to be her baby. I think I'm going to have to fight her to let me use it. We do have a second machine coming the end of the month, so we'll have 2 laser machines. And probably a third's going to show up at the beginning of the year. So we will have at least 3 laser machines, and probably by this time next year, 4 or 5. I don't know. Demand is off the charts. You guys, so many people are like, can I order? Can I order? Like, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Okay. Are we ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Christine says, I love those wall envelopes. If I spend the rest of my potting days just making them, I would be a very happy potter. I know. I love them too. They were a brainstorm I came up with. Wall envelopes aren't new. I'm not the first one to make them, but this design was something I was fiddling around the studio ages ago, and it popped in, and it was like, yes, that works. Okay. Want to win some stuff? Yeah. All right. First winner of the DiamondCore Tools sanding pad or paper prize, your choice is Charlie Savo. Charlie Savo, congratulations, Charlie. You've won yourself some DiamondCore Tools sanding pad or sanding paper. You pick. So if you don't know, Charlie's the one who makes my gorgeous aprons that normally I would be wearing tonight in the studio, but I'm not because it's 110 degrees. It's 90 outside, but up here in this hayloft of a studio that I have, it's an oven. It's 110. It's got to be good for my complexion. Like all moist and I don't know. Maybe I look more dewy. All right, congratulations, Charlie. Woohoo! So you're liking the idea of the paper after seeing me use it. You're looking at them on the website. Yeah, the paper, and it does have a backing. Don't think it's like regular paper. It's not. It's not like regular sandpaper at all. This is not your local hardware store's paper. Like, this ain't your dad's sandpaper. No, 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 no. It's your Pottery mom's sandpaper. All right, the second winner of the DiamondCore Tools sanding prize is Karen Palin. Karen Palin, congratulations. You and Charlie have won yourself a fabulous sanding paper, sanding pad prize. You both have the tough choice of which one you're going to get. I don't know, maybe you can get one of each, right? Get a sanding paper and a sanding pad. What? You won! You never thought you'd hear your name. Well, guess what? When Kevin, so I don't do the drawings. I don't know who won. The way our drawings happen is when you sign up with us, everybody gets a number assigned to their name, and we have a random number generator that picks the numbers, and then Kevin has to look the number up to see who won. And so today when he's like, oh, you're gonna you know one of these people's names, and I'm like, because I love it when I know you. I love it when I know you. So comment more so I get to know you, then I can like it when you win, right? All right, everybody, that is tonight's broadcast. In prime time at 6:15, we will be making a make-along. We're going to make some wrapped vases, just a fun little hand-built class. Not wheel throwing yet for tutorials. That's coming up. Now we have Drew Seymour's Raku workshop coming up Saturday, and I will be participating on Sunday in that workshop and teaching the people who are in it. I'm going to do a wheel throwing luminary and a hand-built luminary. These are Raku pieces. We're going to be making those Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern for the wheel throwing, 2 p.m. Eastern for the hand building, and we're going to put that up on the website along with the description of the workshop. Those will be recorded. Everybody in the workshop will have access to those classes forever. So if you want to learn how to do Raku and build your own Raku kiln and how to fire it and get a couple tutorials from me, check that class out. It does have a cap, though, and we're getting close to the number, so it might come back around and we'll do another one, but we can only take so many at a time. So I just want to put that out there. All right, next week, live broadcast, we're going to be doing extruded handles. Huge thank you to DiamondCore Tools for sponsoring tonight's giveaway and being a sponsor this whole month long. And remember, if you didn't win and you want to go get some awesome DiamondCore Tools supplies, go ahead and use the code DCTJessica21, all capital, and you can save 10%. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a great evening and make some great pots. Bye, everybody.